What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at again with another video. So we're gonna check out 10 WWE moments that had zero creative plans behind them. We've seen it time and time again, especially under Vince McMahon's creative control, where we would see something on TV and there was clearly no plans of any type of future development or anything that would essentially, maybe culminate in a particular wrestler getting to a certain point or a story concluding. Like we've seen so many times, something would be started and then it would be dropped. There was no creative plan behind it. They just thought it would work. It's had the starting idea of what they wanted to do and then they would drop it. How many times have we seen that, where there's angles and storylines that never get answered because Vince didn't really have a real plan for, anything past the initial setup? So we're gonna check out some of these moments, man. Appreciate all love, support. Let's get right into this video, man.
Zero creative plans. Number 10, Otis winning the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yep.
Now in 2020, WWE presented the annual Money in the Bank matches simultaneously from WWE HQ. This was down to the COVID-19 pandemic, and under the bizarre
That's when Rey Mysterio was murdered.
circumstances, they delivered a fun match which was well received by the general fan base. WWE made the bold call to crown Otis as Mr. Money in the Bank, and to his credit, Otis was over with the audience. However, he was a comedic mid-card act, and there wasn't exactly a demand to see him as a main eventer or even potentially as WWE champion.
Yep.
According to Otis, there was zero plans for him as Mr. Money in the Bank, and he only found out just before the match was taped. This was yet another case of Vince McMahon making huge creative moves without having a plan in place. This was a disturbing trend during McMahon's final years in power, and this was especially the case when it came to the annual Money in the Bank ladder match. In the end, WWE would have Otis drop the Money in the Bank briefcase to The Miz, which made the whole Money in the Bank reign a complete waste of time. And WWE should have put the briefcase on someone they actually wanted to see at the top of their company. Number 9, the lockbox. And to add further interest to the Shane McMahon.
Yep, this is a very good one. We never really found out what the hell was in the lockbox or anything. We never knew. Well, maybe we did. Maybe we did know what was in the lockbox. It was Vince McMahon's escapades and secret meetings information. I don't fucking know.
McMahon versus Undertaker feud in 2016, McMahon would state that he would hand over the contents of a secret lockbox if he lost the match. And this contained Vince McMahon's darkest secrets. When Shane McMahon lost the WrestleMania match, the lockbox was never mentioned again. And what could have potentially been a compelling plot threat was erased from WWE lore forever. Now, according to Sean Rossap from Fightful, there was never any plans for the lockbox or the contents, and it was just something that Vince McMahon randomly came up with. This was a WrestleMania angle, not some random angle on SmackDown or Raw, so surely the former WWE chairman should have given this more care and attention. Number 8, AJ Styles' debut. AJ Styles made his triumphant debut at the 2016 Royal Rumble, and the crazy thing about his debut is that WWE had zero plans for his run following the Rumble appearance.
That's
crazy.
According
to the former WWE champion on the My Love Letter to Wrestling podcast, WWE had no plans for him, and he wasn't even booked for Raw the following night. Vince McMahon had no idea who I was. There was no way because he had no plans for me after the Royal Rumble. I wasn't supposed to be at Raw the next day. Yeah, so we just thought it was a fluke that I got the pop that I did in Orlando, and I didn't need to be on TV. WWE signing a huge name.
That's really wild when you really think about it. That's really crazy. Like, he legit had one of the loudest pops that year, and who is this AJ guy? Well, this got to be a fluke, right? What?
Name like AJ Styles and not having a plan in place is truly baffling. Nevertheless, they would eventually decide to pair AJ with Chris Jericho for a WrestleMania 32 program before giving him a main event push against Roman Reigns. Number 7, the higher power.
Which really worked in the end. I'm glad they, I don't know who told him. Somebody had to say, hey, Vince, this guy's legit. Let's do something with him. And I'm glad they did.
One of the biggest mysteries of the Attitude Era was the identity of the higher power. This was a mysterious individual who was controlling the actions of The Undertaker, and there was a ton of speculation surrounding who this figure could truly be. It was ultimately revealed to be Vince McMahon in one of the biggest letdowns imaginable. This creative call made no sense as McMahon was the individual feuding with The Undertaker, and it was just another swerve for the sake of a swerve.
Yeah.
According to Bruce Pritchard, there was zero creative plans in place for the higher power angle. This meant that they introduced a mysterious individual without knowing who they wanted it to be. Although WWE were firing on all cylinders from a popularity perspective in '99, they were still making odd and reckless decisions in the creative department.
Yeah.
Number 6,
It wasn't
Dolph Ziggler's world title
always perfect.
run in 2013. And when a wrestler wins the world title in WWE, there should usually be a creative roadmap ahead of them.
Yeah.
WWE can then make the most of the world title reign and reap the financial rewards. However, when it came to Dolph Ziggler's 2013 world title reign, WWE had zero plans in place. In fact, McMahon informed the WWE creative team that despite them making Ziggler the champion, it wasn't to act as an official push for Ziggler. Ziggler would have a
That's
vastly
crazy.
underwhelming reign as champion, as he suffered a concussion just weeks into the run, and then when he eventually returned to action, he dropped the gold during his first pay-per-view defense. Vince McMahon was waiting for the first opportunity to have Ziggler lose the title, and if he never suffered the concussion, then there's a strong possibility that Ziggler would have lost the title even sooner.
Which is messed up, bro. They really missed opportunity with him, man. Missed opportunity.
Number 5, Kurt Angle's final WWE run. Kurt Angle was finally back under WWE contract in 2017.
This
and
was
when Angle was
disappointing
eventually
too.
back wrestling, it was expected that they would have a clear and precise creative plan to utilize one of their biggest stars. Unfortunately, this was 2017 WWE, so they were just making things up as they went along, and booking the shows on a week-to-week basis. Angle appeared on the Two-Man Power Trip podcast, and he
man.
revealed that WWE having no plans for him greatly impacted how much he enjoyed his final run in wrestling.
For
I
sure.
went back to WWE. It wasn't a big welcome home. It was more of a, we're going to show you what you did when you left us. And I didn't have any hard feelings about it, but, you know, Vince McMahon just didn't have any plans for me. And I was doing more jobs than I was winning. And I don't blame him for that. You know, I left the company high and dry in 2006, and coming back to retire, I think he felt that I was a little bit of a liability because of my broken necks. I had 4 broken necks in WWE back in the 2000s.
Sheesh.
And I also had a painkiller problem
Yeah.
that I actually, you know, got myself out of. But I think that he felt I was a little bit of a liability, so he didn't want to utilize me the way he should have.
Whilst this run was indeed a disappointment, it thankfully didn't impact Angle's legacy, as
Oh,
he's still
no.
considered by many to be one of the greatest of all
Oh,
time.
without a doubt. It sucks how it ended. And we've seen that a lot with our favorites, how their career, the way they wanted it to end, wasn't ideal, but you still have respect for what they did in the ring and the legendary great matches that they've been able to give us. There's no doubt about it. Perked up or not, Kurt Angle is goated. Simple as that.
Number 4, Seth Rollins in 2014. When the Shield broke up in the summer of 2014, Seth Rollins was handpicked to be one of the next top heels in WWE. However, the split almost happened months prior, and if WWE stuck to this creative direction, then Rollins' WWE career could have turned out completely different.
Oh, wow.
According to the multi-time WWE champion, initially they wanted to break the Shield up in early 2014 and build towards a Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose match at WrestleMania 30.
Wow.
Rollins has publicly stated that this would have meant that WWE had no plans for him following his dissolvement of the legendary faction, and he stated that he wasn't even convinced that WWE would make him the special guest referee. Thankfully, WWE put the breakup on hold and the Shield would embark on an acclaim run as babyfaces, and this helped make all 3 members of the faction amongst the most
It worked out. That's crazy. It's a good thing it worked out the way it did.
popular names on the entire roster. Number 3, Men's Money in the Bank briefcase in 2024. But Triple H was put in a difficult creative position at the 2024 Money in the Bank event. He had no creative plans for the men's briefcase, and this was likely because he wanted 2 long-term world champions. According to reports, WWE did consider Jey Uso to win the briefcase, yet due to them having no plans for a successful cash-in, they ultimately decided to go with Drew McIntyre. McIntyre would then cash in on the same night and would lose his cash-in thanks to interference from CM Punk.
Yep. And honestly, that was the right decision. It was the right decision. It didn't matter. As long as you had Cody and Gunther, well, obviously we know the direction was Gunther to get the championship at some point. So we knew that, but it wasn't happening. It was not happening in the slightest, bro. I love Jay, but they weren't gonna give Jay the Money in the Bank. They weren't. But with Drew winning, it did create a very, very great story, and it intensified the feud even more between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. So ultimately, it worked out in the end.
This creative call received widespread criticism as it was seen by many fans as a waste of the Money in the Bank briefcase. If Triple H had no plans for the briefcase, then there must have been a better option than to use it to further a feud that was already red hot.
And here's the thing. I get some people saying that, but the reason that anybody that wins that, unless you're going to have, they would have to honestly cash in on fucking Damian Priest at the time. And then if you have him beat Damian Priest, then they would be a transitional champion because Gunther was going to beat them anyway. If that makes any sense. So you shorten a title reign to give it to somebody else for how long? Only for Gunther to beat them. Because we all knew Gunther was winning. So that's why I say, if you're going to do this with the Money in the Bank, I'm okay with it. Because you know Cody's not getting cashed in on and losing. And you know for a fact, if Damian Priest was to lose, they would be a temporary transitional champion. And that would be it. And that would have really probably pissed off a lot of people if Drew ended up being just a transitional, I can't even say it, transitional, there we go, champion. That would have pissed a lot of people off. It would have pissed a lot of people off if Jay was one. Just to lose to Gunther within like less than, it'd been like a month or so. Like, no, nobody wanted to see that. So this was the best possible outcome, in my opinion.
Didn't need the Money in the Bank to elevate it any further. Number 2, the anonymous Raw General Manager.
Oh, this was awful.
WWE tried to do something new with the Raw General Manager format in 2010, as it had an anonymous individual become the Raw General Manager.
Cringe.
Michael Cole would then read emails from this mysterious individual,
Hated his
and
era.
over time, there became rampant speculation surrounding who this was going to be. Sadly, the WWE had no plans for the identity of the GM, and according to former producer Arn Anderson on his podcast, nobody in creative knew how to handle a story. I hated it. I think it was when everyone was drawing a blank on what to do next and we were running through angles. It all stems back to having that big show, that pay-per-view, every single month. There was never a plan for that to ever become anyone, so there was no grand scheme of things either. WWE would eventually reveal the individual responsible to be Hornswoggle, which was a bizarre move and just showed how ridiculous the entire angle was.
Awful.
And number 1, WrestleMania 40. Cody Rhodes' fan support was so strong at the start of 2024 that his popularity forced WWE to change the WrestleMania 40 main event. The planned Night 2 main event for the biggest WrestleMania of all time was The Rock vs Roman Reigns. However, the way WWE handled this was appalling, and fans called out WWE for dropping the ball with Rhodes. The disdain became so heated that the segment in which Rhodes surrendered his WrestleMania spot ended up being the most disliked video of all time on WWE's YouTube channel. The original plans for WrestleMania 40 looked to be Rhodes vs Seth Rollins for the world title, but this was never confirmed, and according to Rhodes, the original plan would have made fans even angrier. Another sign that WWE had no plans was when The Rock confirmed his WrestleMania availability, but this would have left the other top stars off the card, most notably Drew McIntyre. McIntyre was booked to face Rollins for the world title on the show, yet if Rhodes took McIntyre's place, then where would this have left McIntyre? WWE was in truly a state of flux, and it was the smartest move that they could have made when they rearranged the WrestleMania match card. But there you have it, folks.
This was a situation where the fans' outrage changed changed WrestleMania, bro. It changed WrestleMania for the better. It worked out. But you can clearly tell, you know, especially when they talked about it in the WrestleMania 40 documentary, like Cody, you know, he was definitely feeling some type of way, and a lot of us were, because it's like, wait a minute, hold on, bro. What? You had this man win 2 back-to-back Royal Rumbles only for him to give it up? Oh, hell no. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did. But comment down below, let me know. There's plenty, and I mean plenty of other instances where WWE said, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to go with this story. And it never gets concluded. It never gets finished. We never find out the results. It just happens. And then we don't ever hear from whatever happened in the end. So If it wasn't listed in the video, definitely let me know down below. But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See you on the next one. Peace.